All good vibes. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Live Reality Games podcast, the recap of Survivor New York Season 4, Veterans versus Contenders. You know me. I'm Naomi. Let's get it started. We have with us our Lord and Savior. It's Chris Lord, the host of Survivor New York. How are you?
I'm good. We're back. Episode 2. It's exciting. And Louis is back with us. Very
I
excited for
know.
that. I had so
Get
much
ahead
fun
of me
last
here.
season with his podcast. Well, you can introduce him, but I'm very excited about this one.
Yes, he joined us and he didn't leave. We have Louis from season 3, but more importantly, the Muncie tribe handler from season 4. Louis, how are you? I miss you. How are you doing?
Hello. I miss you all so much. I'm doing fantastic. Thank you so much for having me. I am so excited for Survivor New York Season 4, Veterans vs. Contenders. It's such a fun season, and I'm so happy to be here. And thank you, and let's keep going.
Let's do this. Let's do this. And with us, sadly, but we're excited she's here, we have the most recently eliminated player from the season. It's Kira. Kira, what the hell is up, my dude?
Hello. I'm very excited to be here. I even have a background of like evil snakes. Ooh. Ooh.
Much like your tribe, huh?
Oh, damn
Oh,
straight.
Those jerks.
that is hilarious.
I got fighting words. Don't you worry.
Oh no. So, Chris, what do we want to talk about
Yes.
today?
I just want to know, like, Kira, what have you been up to since? I mean, we filmed Survivor New York in the end of August of 2019. So what is going on in Kira's world for the past almost 2 years?
So I had the experience of quitting my full-time job, and I quit my full-time job, on February 17th of 2020. So
Good
you
timing.
can imagine what happened after that. It was quarantine times, but I got a job dog walking, and I'm currently a performer at Field Station Dinosaurs, which I did a long time ago. I brought myself back to wrangle T-Rex puppets.
Oh my god, that's awesome.
Yeah,
Honestly, that's such a vibe.
yeah, that makes sense.
Louis, I have to ask you the same question because I know that you're in the world of theater. That's really
Yeah.
exciting, especially with New York City and it closing down. So, like, what have you been up to since?
Well, I thankfully never stopped working at my job. So I work for a casting office here in New York City for Broadway. So Broadway stopped, but Louis DiPaolo did not. And thankfully, come September, Broadway is opening back up. So we are really getting back in the swing of things. And it's a very busy time. It's a very exciting time. I'm ready to, bring back and start working on the new Broadway and, get
That's
back
awesome.
to seeing theater.
Yes,
Yeah, right?
I'm excited. It's
Awesome.
gonna be so good.
I'm so glad we've got this group back together to talk about this episode because this episode is a doozy. I love these tribes, and I love that this episode we just get to see more and more of what's going on in their little snaky minds. So many questions. People want to know about the bus. People want to know about the digging. And we're going to talk about it all. It's fine. We'll get there. But first of all, Kira, I want to know what you thought of your tribe mates. Like, they're a fun group. They're a little snaky, a little competitive. What did you think, especially after winning that first challenge, about the group that you were a part of?
Honestly, I was super naive to it all. I was just excited to be there. I really thought that there was like a pink vibe of us all sticking together. I was like,
Pink
this
power.
is a fun Survivor, pink power. We'll start being mean in a little bit. Let's enjoy what we have while we still have it. And then we'll like tear each other apart later. Obviously that wasn't the case. But I genuinely, everyone was super nice to me, which again, looking back since I watched the episode, fucking liars.
Was that really hard, like hearing people talk about you so much? Because like every single person had an opinion about you. Is that hard, like hearing that?
I mean, no, because I'm a weird person, so I've had opinions about me my entire life. I've had like bullies, middle school bullies, high school bullies, adult bullies. But I knew that everybody was doing it out of like genuine competitive spirit. Some people definitely were a little too serious about it, but that's them. They cried their little tears.
Were there any comments that surprised you the most? that you had saw?
Yeah, there was actually two. I thought about it when I saw them. One, Emily. God, I was so nice to her. I think that's her name. Yeah, I was so nice to her, and she was like, "Kill that girl, get her out." And I was like, "Whoa!" It's not how she said it, but that's how it felt. And I was like, "Okay, so I guess this is where this is going." And then Davey got so mad over. I said that I was an archaeologist as like a joke. I was like, "Oh, I have an archaeology degree. Let me
love
dig,"
that.
you know. And then he was
Where's
like,
your digging?
"Why isn't she digging?" I was like, "I'm sorry, sir, but I just dug for a half an hour and you dug for 2 minutes and found something, but I had the blue team sitting on my stuff. So, you know, I mean, realistically, bless you, Davey. I'm sure you're a good person in real life, but what a monster you seemed like in that episode."
Yeah, this episode I think is one of the shadiest episodes of Survivor New York. And look who shows up just in time. Bill,
Davey.
hello, Davey. But
Davey.
This episode, I think I made Chris put in so many shady edits, and they're so funny to watch. And we'll talk about some of them as they come along. One of my favorite though is Kira. You mentioned that you wish a challenge was kayaking across the Hudson, and Sarah just goes, "I can't do that." But
I could have.
Oh man,
I want to bring it back to, like, I know we're talking about episode 2, but episode 1, one of my favorite moments that involved Kira is the Muncie tribe gets their crate. The tribe finds a clue to the idol, and everyone's like, should we just read this clue right now? But you step up and say, no, let's wait for the whole tribe. Why did you do that? I'm just curious.
I would have done that for the record, Kira. I agree with the way you behaved in that moment.
So like I said, I'd only watched the earlier seasons of Survivor, like seasons 1 through 3. And then unfortunately my mom died before I came on the show. So I couldn't rewatch everything because my life was super busy. So I was like, you know, I should know enough. Survivor can't possibly have changed that much. What a fool I was, because it had changed a lot. And there was a lot of rules and scheming and game-changing things I didn't know about. So what I was thinking was like the earlier Survivor, everyone stuck together really at the beginning, and then they started like, you know, digging deeper, and they kind of hid their motives. So I figured, you know, we stick together as a pink tribe, just like in earlier seasons, you stick together with your tribe until it's time to really start eliminating and screwing people over. But my goodness, again, not the case.
Well, I thought it was very interesting because that clue, I don't know if you guys talked about it a lot or not enough, but that clue led to the idol that the Orange Tribe, I think you can kind of see it in the episode. They literally walk by you guys having just found it, and you guys are like, time to go look for the idol by the bathrooms. I wonder what the Orange Tribe is doing by the bathrooms. And nobody really talks about it, I feel like, in the footage. Do you remember if you guys talked about it at all? Like, they were pretty close to where we were looking. Do you think the Orange Tribe found the idol?
Yeah, I believe we thought they had already found it, but we'd hoped that I know that I think Emily mentioned that there might have been idols for each tribe at different, like in different locations, and maybe they had a different clue about where it might have been, and everybody got a chance to get it or something along those lines. So we figured we might as well look. I think that's what it was. We just thought there might be more than one, and we didn't want to second guess the situation. We'd rather just try.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Well, I love this mess of a tribe. Louis, talk to me about like these 2 episodes that you spend with them, because I think you guys were kind of the most positive tribe. You were very open with your strategies and talking with each other and trying to basically have the best tribe possible and succeed. And really, you just kind of get screwed up because of the puzzle pieces and how tough this like whole challenge was. Louis, what were some of your favorite moments from the early like observations of this Muncie mayhem, if you will?
Well, this Muncie tribe, I love them all so much. They were truly my little baby, my little pink babies. From the second that we started, I could just the excitement was palpable. You know, everybody was there. You know, and I know Kira hadn't watched a lot of Survivor, but everybody there was there to play. And you know, regardless of where their head was in terms of knowledge, everyone wanted to have a good time. And the first thing I noticed especially shooting the confessionals, was everybody was just was just living in it. They just dove right into it. No one was afraid to talk about anything, and everyone, wanted to have the best experience possible. And I was so sad to see them lose this second challenge because I mean that challenge was giving me full on co-wrong, Caleb needs to get evacuated vibes of we were just digging forever. And when I saw, it was like a big butt party too. I know that the edit didn't show it a lot, but people were like sitting, it got vicious. And unfortunately the Pink Muncie tribe just fell on the bottom there. So it really tugged at my heartstrings to see them lose and have to scramble, because that first round everyone was getting along and nobody really wanted to I think Kira had a good instinct of let's wait until everybody's here and go find it together. And because there really was kind of that kumbaya feeling in the beginning. And, I think Sarah said it best in this episode of, we're waiting for that, that shoe to drop, and that shoe dropped. And it was just like, bam, let's play the game. And that, that's why I loved it too, because the second the game was afoot, everyone went running.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Kira, I want to talk a little bit about your relationship with Matt and just like your friendship, because I knew you guys were friends sort of before this game, and really you guys were kind of scrapping in the digging pit a little bit. Do you think it was like you guys were competitive, or were you like, Matt, let me find a piece, get off my back? Like what? Because this was a very scrappy dig site, and everyone was fighting a lot. Did that ever come into play where you like, we're going to work together, try and help each other, or once Orange Tribe wins, is every man for himself?
Yeah, I think I know he wanted to work together, but somehow he was the one sabotaging me, and not just like him, but the blue team decided during that digging challenge, you could tell they were sitting on our pieces. And I didn't know like the rules. Was I allowed to like push somebody off of something, or like, cause I knew for a fact Matt was sitting on a piece of Pink's. I knew it. And then he kept digging it and burying it further. And I was like, am I allowed to touch his butt? Like, what can I do here to get under it? So I was
Not without consent.
I was getting really frustrated because I wasn't sure what I could do. And they had actively tried to start sabotaging Pink once they realized we were losing. I was like, wow, okay, you guys, real soon, right out of the bat, real mean. Wow. Yeah. And then Pink got, like, later, you even saw it in the episode, we were very irritated about Blue because they started something. They knew what they were doing and they started it. So Matt and I did think maybe we'd work together, but I don't know maybe he thought he was giving me a hint to where something was or something, but that's not the truth.
Yeah. Chris, okay, I don't think we expected this challenge to get A, so aggressive, B, so just like awful, but C, we really expected somebody to find the idol clue that was buried in the sand. And actually, Kira, for a lot of it, you were the closest to it. And that was crazy to me. Is like nobody ever found it, but I was watching you intently being like, Kira is like, how is she missing this? Chris, did you expect, like, just talk to me through this mental process.
Okay, first of all, we never expected the challenge to go the way that it did, because they had dug the sand maybe like this deep, like not even joking. So
and we didn't bury them that deep. We just put a little bit of sand over it.
Yes. The variable we never considered was if people found other tribes and they would dig it down deeper. The actual challenge lasted about 19 minutes long of them digging, looking for every single piece. And
which feels like an hour when you're out there.
Oh my God, it felt like 3 hours. And
it was like 90 degrees. Yeah, it was like 90 plus degrees. I remember just sweating so much.
I apologize to the cast because I go there all the time now, and I look at the sand. I'm like, oh my God, there's like glass in here.
Yeah, Chris, this is all your fault.
Blood.
It's like terrible.
Oh, no.
But the idol clue was one of the most exciting things that I thought was going to happen for this season. That White Block had an idol clue that was in the next immunity challenge, that they could find an idol at the challenge, but nobody found it. And it was very heartbreaking to me because I wanted that to be like a very big moment for the season. Like somebody finds this clue, then they find the idol at the challenge, so on and so forth. And it went along with the theme of anybody could find any idol, which is one of the themes for this season. So Kira, did you see that block? Because if you guys look, there is a moment where Bennett calls out to Kyle and says, "What does Jack have?" And Jack has touched the white block, and it's right in front of him, but he doesn't take it. He doesn't even acknowledge it. So I'm curious to eventually talk with Jack and ask him about it. But did you see it, Kira?
I think we thought some things were garbage. So if it wasn't a pink, blue, or orange thing, we honestly thought it was garbage on the beach, to be realistic with you. Because there was so much random stuff in that area. Like we were cutting our fingers open. No, it's okay. Survivor Blood and Sand. We did it. It was cool. But I think we really honestly might have thought it was garbage and passed over it if it wasn't one of our colors.
Yeah. It was brutal.
Garbage on the beach.
Ugh.
That just describes like me filming the challenge.
Yeah.
Yeah, how I felt during the game. Yeah, and yes, Kyle says there are huge rocks in the sand. And this is true. And so it like you see us kick the dirt. It's very funny because like I was filming the Idol Clue and they like walked by me and I like kicked the dirt over it, and it's because they are actually approaching, but I was like shooting it for the episode. And so it's someone in the actual raw footage you can hear, they're coming, and like kick the dirt over. There will be an idol hidden at a future challenge. So keep your eyes peeled for that. We will have future idols hidden in challenges. But for now, this was a disappointment. And TJ says, I wouldn't know. We finished quick. Which, okay, TJ, we get it. Shut up.
All right, well, you missed out on an idol clue.
Yeah.
I have to say, though, this challenge really was luck because, the two people that did the digging, they chose the positions as evenly as possible. But, maybe where somebody starts on one end versus the other, affects sort of the positioning and the probability. So I feel like orange winning was just fate and blue winning was just fate. And one funny moment during the challenge that is not shown, well, on one end, Emily Paddock did every single lock right on the nose. Boom, boom, boom. Open each lock.
Correct. And didn't every single one was correct. It was crazy.
Correct. But Kai actually struggled. She struggled for about 3 to 5 minutes, I want to say. And she tried all the locks multiple times with one octagon and couldn't get it. And in the footage, I didn't want to show it because I didn't really think it was super relevant. But she was very frustrated. And I believe there was like 3 or 4 people like coming in there like coaching her how to do it. So I thought that was kind of like a little secret thing that was kind of funny.
Well, this brings us something. Go ahead, Louie. No, take it away.
It's a testament that never give up, in a challenge because Paddock had really great luck with the locks and Kai didn't, that opened the door for the Muncie tribe to really continue digging and don't give up just because somebody else is on the lock. I think that's where you see that frustration from Davey when he finally finds that last, combination at the, right when the other team wins. And it's like, that's what I was saying to like the group, the Muncie tribe is like, they never gave up. It wasn't like they were dead in the water. It's like, all right, fine, whatever. But, that's a testament to the entire game. Never give up. You never know what's going to happen. Kai could have panicked under pressure and never got those locks undone, and all it needed was 1 more minute for Davey to find a thing and then Muncie's back in it.
Yes,
right?
Absolutely. And that's what I like admired about this whole group is that like, and you can see, we'll talk about it a little bit more after you guys lose, but when Sarah is in her confessional, she's like, I didn't do anything in this challenge and I feel like I'm on the outs because I didn't help at all. And it is a really interesting position for Sarah to be in where she's like, I didn't contribute to this kind of team building moment where everybody is in the trenches together. But we'll talk about that in a little bit. What I want to circle back to is this idea of the blue tribe being the aggressive tribe, because Pink talks about it a little and especially talks about it after the challenge. But Orange, we see on the bus, which everybody is so fascinated by the bus, but that's how we get people from the park to the house. So I don't know why you're so dramatic about it. It's a bus. Get over it. But the bus...
It's magical. Are you kidding? To have a bus shuttle you? That's like really awesome.
I want Jeff
I think it was funny
to show the boats. That's what I want.
So many people told me, like, I haven't been on a bus since high school. And I was like, well, here you go.
Beep, beep. Yeah, so So, Kira, I'm curious about this. If you guys had talked about it on Muncie before the challenge, but the Orange Tribe very much thinks that the Blue Tribe is aggressive and sort of the one to beat in a lot of ways, and that you guys were helping the Orange Tribe in that first challenge. What do you think about that? Of like the sort of orange-pink bond that came from hating the Blue Tribe?
Oh, it was great. I mean, the second I think there was a moment we just felt really bad for when the Orange team had to eliminate somebody first. We're all very empathetic in real life, not in the game necessarily, but in real life, we all actually felt quite bad. And I remember that when we got to that challenge, we were not rooting for the Orange team. We're clearly rooting for ourselves, but we were feeling really down. And the Orange team saw the Blue team just sitting on places or pieces or burying things to make it harder for us to get stuff. And they saw them actively kind of trying to sabotage us, and the Orange team felt for us. We actually I don't know if you have clips of it, but they were definitely like, "Come on, let's go pink." And we were like, "Oh, they're cheering for us," the sweat dripping down our faces. And it gave us a little bit of motivation to move on. And I think it was that positive spirit, which again took a turn definitely in the second episode, but at least there was this moment of positive joy coming from these two teams fighting hate for blue.
The Blue Tribe, I love. Another shady edit is Chris zooming in on Bennett going like this, and
yeah,
I love that.
Bennett was listening to everybody. Bennett was listening to us talking. He's like, "I heard them say this, I heard them do this, and I heard them." We're like, "Oh my gosh, cool it, man!" But you know what? Whatever works.
Yeah, right.
And the Orange has a vendetta for Bennett. A vendetta. They were like, "Ooh." They want a villain. They were like, Bennett's the villain.
They were just jealous because he's so fit.
Yeah, their French vanilla fantasy. Bennett's the villain. I really like.
I have a question for Kara really quickly about, because we talk about the kumbaya on this. Obviously, Louis, you can tie into this because Naomi and I weren't there. Were there ever side conversations that you guys may have seen that maybe Louis didn't get to film, or Kira, you were observing maybe people going off or pairing off, or was the tribe just always pretty much together until you guys had to strategize and vote somebody off?
Okay. I think there were times where people kind of walked off. I know I volunteered first or second to do my confessional, and you could tell that people kind of grouped off and did something and talked about things. I knew because Emily came in ready to go. She was already pairing off with people, and Sarah was also scheming already. If I could go back, I guarantee you, I know they were doing that, and I recall them doing it. But I thought they were just being friends,
just being pals,
just talking.
This Inessa comment, love Bennett. He's on my wavelength. I would say that Bennett and Inessa are very similar people. And you can see that in this season of Survivor. Well, Kira, I think I shot your first confessional too. And I was very excited because I think you had something very funny to say, which we were you thought that they might be a little jaded and that they might be a little sort of in their head about their past experiences. And I think that's true. I think you hit the nail on the head of when you're a veteran, you can get really bogged down by what you've done in the past. We saw and Emily says it as soon as you guys win that challenge. She's like, "I've never won a team challenge before. This is my first win." And you guys are all like, "Oh, yay!" It's very funny how cute you are about it. But I thought this was a very astute observation from you that people could have some baggage to deal with. Were you? I think when this tribe theme was announced, were you surprised by it? And did you think that it would play a big role in how you played, or were you just a bunch of jaded old vets, I'm gonna take them out?
I wish I had started off, if I could go back, I wish I had grouped with another contender Jack, and both of us I wish I had played on that instead of making a group effort, because I did genuinely think the veterans were gonna get shady or rough later on because they had feelings. They had a lot of feelings starting off. People had feelings. And us freshies were like, no, this is gonna be great. We're gonna do wonderful. So I wish I had grabbed a couple of other fresh people and made a group, but I did not do that. And I wish I did, because I think it could have worked really nice.
Yeah, it would have. And I think that you had good contenders on your tribe. These guys were ready to play. Louis, what were you going to say?
I just think, that speaks to the, even in real Survivor, when there's a game where there's veterans versus, people, newbies, there's always a learning curve. If you haven't done this before, you need to, you have to learn fast when you're playing with people who have done something before. It may not be specifically Survivor New York, but if you've done something like that, especially for someone like Kira, who, didn't have the world's largest Survivor knowledge, and now she's playing with people who have played live games before, that's a disadvantage right from the jump. Because either people are going to stick, you have to figure out how to play those dynamics, and you have to learn fast. And it's a tricky situation. And I don't envy those who've played games with those who've played other games before, because it's hard. It's hard to learn, you learn to play the game as fast as something like this is, because sometimes you only have one conversation to make a decision.
Yeah. One decision can make everything. Like saying I just watched those recent seasons. Boston Rob is a great example of like coming back multiple times. And I feel like I was like looking at Emily like a Boston Rob. Like if I just get on Emily's in or Alejandro's in, they're my little Boston Robs. But I could not. I kind of got on Alejandro, and then Alejandro like hopped right over and was like, oh no, I'll go with the veterans. That works for me. And if I just, instead of going to try to pair up with somebody I thought might take me under their wing, if I had instead made my own wings, it could have made a difference.
Yeah, I think both are really good strategies, especially considering that, like, I think people like Emily and Alejandro want people underneath them as sort of like teammates to work really well with. And you see that Sarah is kind of like, I don't really want to do that, but I guess I'm going to have to. And I think Jack, to an extent, also is just kind of like, all right, fine. I think both are totally like valid strategies. And Anessa is also here to say that she agrees that would have worked. I think that also Emily and Alejandro are people who are always thinking about what's next. And so maybe for them, you didn't fit in their what's next plans. But we'll see if that comes to bite them in the butt or not. Like there's a very good chance that, keeping Jack over you could come back to haunt them. We'll see. I don't want to.
I would have been a great goat. I would have been a great goat. That person that takes
I agree.
Naive,
Kira,
I would have been a goat.
I 100% agree. I think you would have been perfect. Yeah. But there was a conversation that you had with Sarah, and like looking at it from like like a perspective as like a viewer, I felt like that conversation seemed so genuine with Sarah, and it seemed like you guys could have been like allies, and you guys fist bumped and said like you guys were gonna not vote for each other. Did you go into tribal council thinking that it was going to be Jack? And did you think you had Sarah's vote? Just curious.
I mean, looking back on it, because in the episode, it's quite clear that like 2 seconds later, Sarah was like, her positivity was driving me crazy, but I did genuinely in that moment, I thought maybe that since Sarah was worried that she was going to get voted out, I had made some sort of deal with her that she would at least have, paired up and not voted for me. But that was not the case. But I did actually, I thought that fist bump was some sort of actual, genuine bond, but it was not.
Well, I think that your vote out was actually kind of hard for Sarah. I think the timing of it might be a little tricky if you look at the edit. If Sarah's in the woods, then that's, I think, before tribal council, and if she's by the chain link fence, that's during the sort of pre-tribal. Yeah, and Sarah's here to say, I thought Kira, Jack, and I would have been great together, but I thought Emily, Alejandro, and Davey were too tight to get one of them. Yeah, so I think this is a good point, which is that Emily, Davey, and Alejandro, I think, are a 3-person alliance at this point in the game. And you need 4 to get a vote out. So I think that Sarah's right in that it would have been harder to separate those 3 and get that other side of the tribe going.
But if we had taken out those big old veterans, it would have been a different story.
What's funny is I feel like if the 3 of you had teamed up and it went to a tiebreaker, I feel like their side would have fractured quicker. For some reason, because they are so desperate to stay in the game, I think if Alejandro or Davy would have flipped on Emily, or Alejandro and
Interesting.
Emily would
Yeah.
have flipped on Davy. That's my opinion on that. Whereas
I
I
think
feel
we could have
like
gotten Alejandro to
Jack,
flip
Kira,
on.
and Sarah, I don't think they would have flipped. So I think it would have been interesting
Right.
if they had done that.
Yeah, and an interesting sort of idea of who bluffs who and who comes out the other side and who splinters in bluffing. I totally agree. Louis, Kira, I want to talk about this. I want to talk about you guys on the rocks. Like, you found like a crab shell, right? Like, you guys had so much fun at your beach. I loved watching this footage back and seeing it. Was it just nice being out there on the on the Hudson River, the beautiful day that we had? Like, did you at least have a nice time being there, Kira?
Oh yeah, I think that's what I said in this episode a couple of times. The reason I was voted out is because Kira's gonna have a great day whether she gets voted out or not. She's gonna enjoy the sunshine. She's gonna take it all in. And you know what? They were right. I was there to still enjoy myself. It is to me, and even if I played Real Survivor, it is still just a game to me. It would be a game, and I'm sure it would overlap in real life, but I really feel it is still a game. I have harbor no hard feelings, and it was a fucking beautiful day.
It was really nice. And I also feel terrible for you because, Kira, you were wearing sandals the whole time and you didn't have sneakers. And I just felt so bad that you're in sandals. And
I chose those sandals. They're Chacos. If they want to sponsor me, they can. I wear my Chacos to walk my dogs. I wear them to climb mountains. I wear them sometimes to just walk in New York City and look fancy. I wear them to weddings. I wear
Okay.
Chacos all day, every day.
What is it called? What is it called? Chacos?
Send us a link. Send us a link.
Even
I need
have
new shoes.
I have a Chaco tank.
I'm going to look them up because they look comfortable.
Yeah,
like,
and that's you're completely correct.
tacos.
I love Kira's energy, and this is exactly
Thank
why
you.
we were so excited to have you, Kira, because bring such a levity and a funness that, again, I think that some veterans are so seriously involved in the game that they can't go like, but I'm also having fun. And that's what I love about you, Kira, is that you're like, but I'm having fun. We're having fun here. Like, make no mistake about it. And it was really like a great energy to have
and sometimes like Survivor is just about vibes. I remember, Kira, when we first started, like, I was like, if I was playing this game, like, I want to be best friends with Kira. I don't care how much she knows Survivor. I just want to vibe. You know, Survivor is a game of people. You want to keep people around that you want to have around. You know, of course, there's strategy that comes into play, but you know, if I was playing on your season, I would have been like, no, I'm fighting for Kira because I want Kira around. She's making me laugh. She's a good energy. And I don't want to play with somebody who makes me feel anxious and wants to get me out, you know, but that's also me. But like, you know, then it's the layers of everybody plays a different game. So
another very Anessa comment. I saw someone in sandals in the easy target.
Such hurt.
You guys don't understand how many live games
elimination.
I've had so many live games experience where people are voted out because of their footwear. Like, I do not understand, like, this craziness of footwear and Survivor games. It's hilarious.
See, but that's a good sandal. If it was a flip flop, I would be like, "What's going on?" That's like a sporty. That's like you can run, you can do. That's not going to full up.
Yeah.
I thought we were doing water challenges. Okay,
yeah,
I mean, we're going to be in the water.
That's a good
eventually
sandal.
we will. That's the other thing is like eventually we do a water challenge and like everybody is like their sneakers are soaked and like it would have worked.
Me?
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you, Billy.
I have something I want to like bring up really quickly. Can we talk about the pregame a little bit? I think that would be fun just to hear the perspective. Well, first of all, Kira's audition tape was her in sunglasses and a guitar singing Destiny's Child Survivor, I believe it was.
Yes, it was.
And that was, I swear, it was like an audition tape from the real show. And when we saw that, it was like an instant, like, okay, she's in. She's a wild child. Like, her picture that we use in the casting, she looked like Kesha, like in the early days. I was like, okay, she's in. I mean,
thank you.
She's one of one. But Kira, talk about getting here and just experiencing that like night zero, like sleeping in the tent with 17 other people, your interactions with other people. Like, who did you vibe with that night? Like, give me your experience.
Was there anyone you wanted to be on a tribe with?
Yeah, the game apparently had actually started that night. It was quite clear now that I look back on it. because everyone pretended to not know each other, which was a load of BS, which was, again, so funny to be in a circle of people pretending not to know each other, who some people had literally played games together before. I was like, what a wild world to look at. I think the funniest thing was I chose not to be in the tent because I had like a good sleep. I thought it was on Survivor. I had a good sleeping bag. I had a hat. I knew it was in upstate New York. So I had my own sleeping pad, and I just laid it out on the side. I had Matt Levy, who was possibly going to be my partner, and Bennett, actually. So I had this hope and prayer that I was going to be on a team with both Matt and Bennett, and then Matt and Bennett got on their own team, and here I was, little old Muncie, baby. And I mean, we had vibed really well before the game started, but clearly the tribe wasn't in my favor at that point.
Yeah, it's never in your favor. Well, we knew we had to split you and Matt up. That was for sure. But I love the Bennett. You and Bennett would have been a very funny dynamic on the Blue Tribe. I would have loved to see that go down.
Yeah. That would have been wild.
And something, Kira, that because you stuck around for a little bit on that first day,
I did.
You said that watching it was like a Sleep No More experience, and that has made me laugh for truly a year and a half. What do you think it was about that experience, like watching everybody else sort of the game play out? Because you got to stick around and watch essentially the rest of the vote outs of the day. What was that like?
So fun. I mean, I was a little sad that I didn't get to stick around and be part of it. But that's why I decided, you know what, I'm here for fun. This is great. I'm going to hide in the bushes like a creeper, pretend to be a producer on Survivor. And I loved it. Like, I loved watching sneaky. I won't say no hints. I loved watching sneaky moments. I loved watching a couple of like the little thing, the passerbys, the eyes going back and forth to each other. It was fun to be just in the background in general, keeping up with what had gone on. And also anybody who was eliminated, I tried my best to be a ray of sunshine to cheer them up. Aww. Because people were taking it real serious, and I did not want to see people crying, because it's a game and a beautiful day.
Yeah. That's the hardest part, I think, for everybody, especially the crew, right? And I think, Lou, you know, this is like, when you vote somebody out, it stings for them, and you just want to be like, but I really like you. It's just fake Survivor. But then it also really hurts, and then you get voted out, and you're like, oh, fuck these people. I don't want to see them ever again. Yeah. Then you come around to it, but it does hurt for a second. Louis, what do you think about, like, Kira getting voted out? Like, for you watching in the moment, did you think it was, like, a good move, or were you like, what the fuck is wrong with you guys? How could you?
It really did bum me out, because like I was saying before, I was enjoying Kira so much. I thought her energy was so pure and so different from, you know, it's nice to have a different energy of, you know, when compared to like the super fans, because like when super fans are like just in it, it gets a little game body sometimes, not to take any away from their personalities, but to have someone who is a little more like, you know, like, I'm going to roll with the punches and see what happens, and I want to have a good time. I was sad to see that energy kind of go. And it would have been difficult to lose anybody. Like, everybody on that tribe was fantastic, but I thought Kira was bringing such a unique energy compared to everybody else who was so immersed in Survivorland that I understood why the votes fell the way they did. But it was sad. I'm glad Kira stuck around the day and we got to spend more time together, because if our time was cut short just there, I would have certainly missed that energy. But it was fun to have Kira, you know, stay for the rest of the day and watch it, because then, you know, I got to talk with her even more. But it was sad. I obviously understand why it happened. And, you know, I can't truly put myself in the shoes of the people who are playing the game, and why I couldn't force him to make a decision that I thought was best for me, because I'm just the person behind the camera. But it was fun. It was fun to hang out with Kira even post vote out, because, you know, it's like, all right, now we get to chill, because we can talk about whatever we want.
That's right. And you know what?
Kira, to keep my mouth shut.
I could have been the wild card. I could have been the Charlie Day, like, I'm a wild card, man. You don't know what to do. Maybe that's what
And
was so
you're like,
scared of
there's
me.
something exciting about somebody who doesn't know the game so
Yep.
super well that it can go in any direction, you know? Super fans know the moves that have happened, and they'd be like, well, this happened in season, blah, 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 and I don't want this to happen. For somebody who's kind of experiencing it as it's coming, you get unknown results. And that's,
yeah.
I love
Yeah.
unpredictability
I could
in
have
the
been
game
chaos.
Survivor. It could have been
Oh
chaos.
my
It could
god.
have been
Chaos
it could have
Kira.
been the
Love it.
potential for chaos Kira was so high, but I understand sometimes, you know, the unpredictability is a liability. You need to get that out because it's
You
like
know what?
I'd rather dance with the devil that I know than the devil that I don't.
That's a good point, Louis. That's I think that's a very great and beautiful point, and that's why casting is very difficult. You know, when we cast these games, we want these people that know the game and love the game, and they're desperate to play. And yeah, I could cast 18 people like that, but somebody like Kira doesn't come along that often, and to
Mhm.
give her that experience and then to have her become a super fan afterward, I think
Oh,
is
yeah.
far more rewarding. And
Yeah.
now to like, now if like, I was gonna say this before, I've had 3 people now come up to me and say, "Wow, I really like that Kira girl. I would love to see her come back." And it's like, you know, that's very interesting. Someone that's not a super fan, people are like resonating with and wanting to see play again. And she was voted out early. So I think
Yeah.
that's pretty interesting.
And don't get like a misunderstood, folks. Like Kira still came to play, even if she didn't know the game
Correct.
as well as everybody else. Kira was still playing
Yes.
the best that she could in the way that she knew how. You know, she
Yeah.
had some survivor knowledge, but sometimes you need a little bit of that difference to really go. I think Kira would have fared better with a game of everybody was new together. There was no veterans. There was no learning. Everyone was going through the learning curve together. I think she would have fared better or lasted longer in a game where everybody was doing it or most of the people were doing it for the first time. You know, I think, not to make this about my season, but I think a lot of my season was a lot of the people did it for the first time.
Yep.
And we were all, you know, there's something special about like, wow, what the fuck did we just go through together for the first time? When you have a half of a cast that's like, oh, we've done something similar to this, regardless of what the game is, that's that own experience. And then, you know, the other half goes like wow, I've never experienced something like this before. Now put it somebody who doesn't necessarily have the extreme knowledge of Survivor. You know, that's just a different energy.
Yeah, so I have a two-part here. One, Sarah says that she loves hearing that you watched all of Survivor in quarantine after, which I loved too. But I think with that in mind, Kira, and Anessa wants to know if you could do it again, what would you do differently? Now that you've watched all of Survivor, what would you do differently?
Oh my goodness, so much. I would have recognized that the game started the second I landed on that beach, to quote the game. Because realistically, it really did start that night and people were playing really hard. And I could have still had fun being a wild card. But if I had just actually made an alliance or made some actual, like, put some gameplay right out at the beginning. I mean, watching back at the season, so far everybody's talking so smart and I sound like an airhead and I'm not stupid. No, so I felt bad because I really think I could have had a fun time manipulating human beings because I can be a real utter monster. And I also studied anthropology and people, so I love messing with people. I think I just would have gone back and actually had some sort of I would have still liked to not have too much of a game plan and like feel it out as I went. But I mean, some of my favorite players watching the seasons, I was a big fan of Zeke. I enjoyed all the things that Zeke went through. I was like, oh man, I'd wear those funky shirts. I'm ready to hop on that. And I was a big old fan of Boston Rob. My goodness, I was like watching that, and I was like, maybe I could be a Boston Rob, screw with people, be dirty. But I couldn't be. I'm more of like a gentle, the older character. I'm a Rupert, you know. Look at me carry things. Watch me go. But I would go back and actually genuinely know that the game started at a certain point because I think that was my biggest falter was hoping we could be a little kumbaya at the beginning, and that was not the case.
Well, Kira, something I think you have that is great about you is that when I was watching your footage, like I can tell that you are giving the person you're talking to 100% of the truth, right? Except for like Jack, which is like, that's the awkward conversation, which is I gotta vote you out. It's me or you.
Yeah.
But you're giving the honest truth to people. And I think that was something that if I was playing with you, I would recognize right away. If Kira's not lying to me, and I think in a lot of times you want to align with somebody who's not going to lie to you, or at the very least you can catch them if they are lying to you. And that's what I always thought was a big benefit that you had to your game, is that it's not that you're transparent, but you're upfront with the people you want to work with, and you let them know what you're thinking. And that's something that some people I think have actually a hard time doing, is just being honest and not seeming like they're kind of snaky behind your back.
I would have stayed that way. I'd stand by. I would have stayed that way, but then sometimes omit parts of truth. You can be honest and omit little moments. And I think that's what I would have gone back and still, played the game.
That goes back to the learning. That goes back to the learning curve, because you want to build these. Everybody knows that, Survivor, the game of Survivor is built on genuine connections, and you want to have, moments with everybody that are genuine, so you can keep your options open and work with anybody. The learning curve comes in is like, you have to know when that genuine nature has to be, stopped short, because we have a vote to get to in about 5 minutes.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
That's a great point.
Cutthroat.
And so, when it comes to like the rest of the game, right, Kira, you were voted out. Was there any challenge you wanted to do that maybe you saw or you didn't get to participate in? Is it a water challenge?
Oh, no, I saw
Talk about the sandals.
I saw the water challenge with the carrying and the holding of the bucket, and I saw the person holding the bucket struggling and dying inside. That one looked terrible, but I have oddball. I'm pretty good at like puzzles or like solving like that. I think you had a tree puzzle that was at one point. I could have done that real fast. So I think I should have volunteered at things that I actually know I was good at. We were kind of already doing that as is, but looking back, I would have wanted to also be a part of the hold the thingy with the thingies on it and knock the thingies off challenge.
Yeah. Just get a good elbow in on someone.
Yeah, no, I would have loved that. That was fun to watch.
I would put money that you would have beat anybody that we put you up against. I'm pretty sure about that.
Yeah. Oh man, I love that. And Kira, another thing I want to know is, who were you rooting for? So you get voted out. Like, you're at this point in the game, who did you want to see make it to the end? Is it Matt? Is it Bennett? Is it somebody from Pink?
It was definitely not Matt. Like, just because he really screwed me over in that challenge. And I screwed myself over, but he really helped. I think I was rooting for, at the time, both Emily and Alejandro. I wanted somebody from Pink because that was my heart lies. I really thought Sarah might come up from the bottom, and Jack. But Emily was so ready to go, and I rooted for her. I rooted for her and Alejandro probably at the top.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Chris, Louis, anything else we need to talk about? Kira, is there anything else you want to talk about that we haven't touched upon yet?
I don't think so. Oh no, wait. I did have a great real Survivor moment. I knew first aid when somebody got hurt.
Where did Kira just go? Oh, she just exited out of the tab. Fucking hilarious. Oh, that's right. Somebody gets hurt in a future episode. Spoiler alert. She'll join back in.
Okay. I don't know.
But I took such detailed notes. I watched the episode before.
Well, what do you want to say?
Yeah, say some of your notes.
No, there we go. My notes are done.
Oh, hey.
Kira, take away.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I was just saying there was a moment that I felt like a real survivor where I actually knew information about how to help somebody in a first aid situation, and was really proud of my Boy Scout background. And that was all I wanted to say. I was like, oh my God, I know things. I could help.
Yeah, very helpful. I think we were all freaking out a little bit that moment, and you were there to like calm us all down and help us out. Like, we were all very grateful.
I can calm down an excellent situation, or I can make it more chaotic. Your choice. If you kept me around, you could have seen.
Your choice.
Yeah, and Nessa wants to know how you heard about Survivor New York. Was it Alex? Am I wrong in thinking that?
I think Alex told Matt, and Matt really wanted a partner. He wanted somebody to play with, so he didn't feel weird about playing Survivor New York. Not that it was a weird situation, but it is a weird situation. You're going up to the middle of nowhere with a bunch of strangers to play a game that you don't know much about, or who the people are creating it. It was awesome.
Yep, makes sense. And so, Louis, walk me through some of your notes that you have in this notebook of yours.
Okay, notes are a strong word because I just really kind of wrote down things that made me laugh.
We have to talk about the shady edits. We'll get there.
We can talk about the shady edits. I love that everybody was calling it Kumbaya Tribe. Truly, the episode should have been called like Kumbaya. I LOL'd at Dresden being like, "Is Bennett the guy who gave me who grabbed the rice cakes from me?" So I will now only refer to Bennett as rice cake grabber.
Ooh, I wanted Dresden to win too. Now that you reminded me, I really enjoy from the outsider
Who doesn't love
perspective.
Dresden?
Oh, I love
Louis.
him. He was so fun.
Pick your notebook up. It's just making noise on the computer, I think.
Oh God, I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
I loved the just casual, like the Muncie tribe. I remember filming, like everyone was just like eating bananas casually, like a gaggle of monkeys.
Oh yeah, and then somebody
that was
and then
so funny.
Dipping fingers into the peanut butter. Like, can we talk about like funny. COVID?
Oh my God. Kira's so funny. She's like, get the banana before it sinks into the peanut butter like quicksand. And I thought that was so funny.
Yes.
Hi,
Dresden.
Like,
we love you too, Dresden.
Dresden.
Yes, and that was really funny. Is the obviously Survivor cast that covers us as well, and they talk about the season and they don't know anything. They were like, "This wasn't filmed in COVID, was it?" Like they were very worried that we were doing this during COVID times.
No.
This was filmed way
just like
before
things
COVID.
you don't do anymore. Like everyone just like stick your like phalanges in a jar of peanut butter.
Yes.
I did note that Kira, like this is talking something about like, a learning curve that you may not have picked up on in the moment of throwing a name out can really snowball into getting you voted out early. And I think that's something Survivor fans are really keyed into when you come and do a Survivor game. It's like, don't say a name because then the target's on you. Because everybody's looking for a reason. Nobody, people want to play and like people will come in with ideas, but nobody wants to be that first person voted out. So nobody wants to say a name. It becomes a game and a dance of let me get somebody else to say the name that I want them to say, and then we can get the ball rolling. And I think Kira made that fatal mistake of like, I don't want it to be me. Let me just, like Jack didn't do well in the first two challenges. I think I can get people to do on Jack. Unfortunately, what that means is Kira said Jack. Now Jack, Kira's playing too hard, or it's just a rookie mistake.
Oh, such a rookie
but
mistake.
I think at the same time, Jack is the person to go for because one of my favorite moments of the episode is nobody can seem to remember that Jack finds the second piece of the puzzle.
Yeah.
And Davey and Alejandro are like, you found two and I found one, and nobody can remember that Jack actually finds a piece.
Poor Jack.
And so they're
I love the flashback to Jack being like,
yeah, and Kara, you even said that too. You said that to Davey. You were like, oh yeah, it's gonna be one of the two who didn't find anything.
I didn't think he did. I mean, I was so focused on trying to actually find a piece that I had no idea what was going on.
That was my thought process, that maybe nobody saw it at the moment.
Or if you see a pair of like skinny legs run by, you're like, oh, that's Alejandro. Like you don't like you can't separate who is who. I agree, and that's what I know. It's a genuine mistake on everybody's part, and it's not like malicious. But it's really funny to just watch like this like fantasy come to fruition where everyone's like, well, Jack didn't do anything, and it's not true at all. Like Jack totally did something. And I didn't want the viewers at home to walk away from that thinking that Jack had not done anything. But I do think, Kira, you picked the right person to target. Like, I think that it was like, truthfully, I don't know that maybe Sarah had a little bit of like a tough time, but like, I don't think anybody else was really going to go home in that moment besides Jack, you, or Sarah. So it was like the opportunity was there. And Anessa says she would name names. Oh, don't we know it, Anessa? Anessa, not afraid to name names. Louis, what else is in the booklet of your little burn book you have?
It's so dumb. Like these are not like gene.
No,
like,
I know.
I wrote tribal council legs. LOL. There's a cut where at tribal council where you just see. It must have been Alex's legs, but it's just like the canvas like cuts off, and there's just like someone standing there. It's like what? So I mean,
I'm
that
like
just
secretly
Alex.
hoping nobody sees it, but it's like
I know,
Alex
but,
is like standing behind there and
Yeah,
filming
holding a
from that
camera up
high
with
you
point.
you don't want me taking notes because I'm like those are the things that like I LOL'd at like Andrea saying Andrea saying knock on log. I'm gonna say that always. Knock on log.
Knock on
Why
log.
knock on wood? Knock on log. Knock on log.
That's a good
Um,
point. You know, Louis, I'm gonna make sure that you can't see the legs because Alex most
No,
likely will be
keep the
filming.
legs in. No, keep the legs in.
No,
They're
I'm
funny.
gonna put something on the bottom over there.
You can
What are you
just
gonna
zoom in
put?
a little bit.
I'm gonna
Zoom
put a
in a
tarp
little
or
bit.
something. I'm gonna
I'll
put a
teach you how to
tarp.
crop it, Chris.
I'm
I'll
saying
teach
for
you
keep the
season
legs.
5. I'm
Keep the
saying for
legs.
season 5.
Or maybe we
Season
should
five,
put
I'm
like
talking
somebody
about.
with like stilettos. You know, just make like fancy up the legs. You know?
Something that I don't think was taught was, and that I want to talk about is Kyle finding the clue to the idol. So Kyle finds
And he
the
knows
clue
what a
and-
latrine is.
and he knows what a latrine is.
He
And
does.
he walks over, and people were wondering what he says. He's talking about his alliance with Kai. He tells Kai the clue, and he calls themselves Kai Squared because it's Kai and Kyle. And actually, it could be Kyle Squared because Kai's full name is Kylene. But they're kind of an alliance that's forming. Kyle really wants to work with Kai, and so he calls it Kai Squared. And I think that was a little tough to hear, but I love that. They're Kai Squared. Billy, enough of the
Billy.
latrine. We will never let it
Never,
go.
Billy.
Billy,
Never.
let me just explain something about that latrine thing. If you listen closely, Billy first asks what a latrine is, and then maybe 2 minutes later, he asks again, what the fuck is a latrine? And I thought that was the funniest thing, so I'm thinking, like, he just asked the question, like, and they explained it.
Honestly, what
And
the
then
fuck is
Sarah,
it?
the unfolding of a showman. Sarah, Chris talks about it. We literally had a casting call the other night where Chris is like, I want people to fall in love on Survivor New York.
No, it was
Honestly, like sign me
Okay.
up.
No, well, Louis, you may disagree with this. I was saying, me, Alex, and Naomi were talking, and Jordan were talking about what if the only time we'd ever have 9 straight men and 9 straight women would be for like a Survivor New York Love Island sort of thing, and they'd have to go to Exile Island every week, and it would be a men tribe versus a women tribe, and they'd meet and have like a romantic entanglement or go for like an advantage or something funny like that.
Why is it
So
gotta
that
be
was an
straight?
idea.
I think you can have a
Why is it
cast of
Okay, what about
all
like?
types
But
of
then
love.
we
I
can't do
think
9 and then we can't do
pansexual.
gender split. We could do
Okay.
Well, we
I don't
can play
know.
around. We're not CBS.
Pansexual would be great.
Pansexual island.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
I mean, we're getting into like weird.
yeah, we're getting into
territory.
weird like legality territories of like
Listen.
what kosher. But I mean, we'll get it.
If love happens, love will happen. It's just it's fast. I'm not thinking about love when I'm playing Survivor over a weekend, unless
Yeah,
the person
sure.
is really worth it. But like, I'm not trying to be like, in a show. That's just dangerous.
Okay.
Unless everybody's
Okay.
like trying to show
You
me.
never know. You
Oh
never.
God. Oh God. Okay.
I
So
also want to
Kira-
say that
Oh, go
my
ahead.
dream is if
Like, how did we get
somebody were to fall in love in Survivor New York and get married and have a baby, that would be also a dream of mine.
Should I marry
So,
Mark? I'm gonna marry Mark and make him have my baby.
can you
yeah,
please?
yeah. That'll be a great idea.
Can you please?
So Kira, did you
And yes,
have
I do have my children.
Okay.
Kira, did you have fun and would you play again? I think are the two big questions.
Right.
I'm going to say them as quick as I can because my phone is dying. That's why I keep randomly like touching things. I thought it was charged, but it wasn't. I would love to play again. I think I really enjoyed being in the background. I'd love to scheme in the background as well. I really liked the production aspect of it. But hands down, I'd love a second try at not fucking up.
Yeah. Awesome.
I won't say any names, and I want those cookies. I want cookies and milk on a hot island. That's all I want, damn it. Peanut butter. Fingers and peanut butter.
Survivor
think
New
we're all-
York second chances. Kira, you have my vote.
Thank you.
You're going to Fiji. Here we go. Thank you so much, Kira, for participating. Like, we loved having you around. It's such a treat, and it's great to catch up. Hopefully, we will see you when. We're all vaccinated, but when the world is not a disastrous place to be.
I'm a Pfizer baby.
Team Pfizer. If we'll do Survivor New York, Pfizer, Moderna, J&J.
Johnson and Johnson.
Yeah,
Surprisor.
Surprisor.
Ooh.
Kira, thank you so much for being here. And Louis, thank you for being here. We love seeing you both so much. And
Yes.
I'm glad people were here to talk about the episode.
I'm glad you
Really-
chose Louis. It's not that he was my favorite, but he was my favorite background guy. Don't tell anybody.
I won't tell anyone, Kira.
Thank you.
Jordan Kalish
That's
is going
great.
to take it personally. You know, thank you guys so much for watching. And remember that we have a new episode look, I made it. Friday at 8, Survivor New York, youtube.com/c/Survivor New York. And subscribe. We're really close to 300 subscribers on YouTube. And most importantly, support live reality games. Join the Facebook group. Join our viewer group. We're all over the internet. Thank you guys so much and have a great night. Thank you, everybody who